Hi, writer. Hi, writer friends, and welcome back to Right Away After Party. I'm Nick,
And I'm Kath.
and this is part three of making the old new again, or new and old, and talking about how taking an old manuscript and creating something new with it, or even if it's just like your, new excitement about it. So that's what we're talking about. First, we were doing discovery. Then we were talking about how do you evaluate the manuscript to be, something that you want to work on, something that you want to spend more time on again. And part three, number three, is that making the commitment to this manuscript. Oh, that one is the tough one because it's been sitting in a drawer for a very long time, and so now you're going to make a commitment to actually bring this to fruition. And which manuscript do you do that with? That's like the challenge. So, I mean, for me, I've always wanted to bring Gosserville to the forefront. It's just been, I always knew that I wanted to go back to that book. I wanted to circle back to that book, and my family has always wanted me to circle back to that book.
There you go.
Um, but for me, it was like I knew I had to be a better writer to write that book, and I kind of knew what it was going to take, and I feel like my craft level is getting there. I don't know if it's there yet. I'm going to have to take it out and really play with it and see if I have the chops to make it work.
Ah, good stuff. How have you read it already, or is it just in the I just pulled it out stage?
It's still just in the actual queue because I still have very little left of her bones to finish, and then I'm still have my piece with my writing partner that I need to finish, and Oakland River still needs to be finished. So it's kind
Oh.
of like it probably won't come to surface, I'm thinking, till spring, but that gives me enough time to give it a read and sit with it, marinate it, and
Wow, that's really forward planning.
well, I have always have a lot of fires, going at once, and so rotating those fires and keeping them all burning is very challenging.
Yeah, no kidding. How do you, yeah, there's a question for another day.
Yeah.
How do you wear all those different hats and crowns and you know,
Yeah.
whew, for
Is that,
another day?
yeah, we'll talk about that another
The
time, but
interesting thing is that that happened to me with my book.
yes.
Uh, when I was stuck a couple of years ago, and I was in sort of like a quagmire. Where do I want to go with my writing? What do I want to do? I have so many things. I was just showing you here this manuscript that I just dug out. The pages are all yellowed from um, 1985.
Wow. There might be
Uh,
in there to sink your teeth into, though. Who
there's
knows?
definitely something to look at. I haven't looked at it since then. I just look at the address of where I was living, and it's like so much life has happened since this.
Yeah.
So many writing classes, so many writers groups, so many manuscripts. Anyway, but back to this one. And so when I was in that space where I couldn't decide what to do, um, my current coach said to me, "Why do?" And I've told this story before. Why don't? Which is the one that's calling to you?
Hmm.
And I said, well, the boy, the boy
Yeah.
really keeps calling and saying, it's time. I want to.
Yeah.
So she
Exactly.
goes, right, I want you to do that story. And I had rewritten that story multiple times, changing point of view, changing uh, verb tenses. In other words, I had it in the past and then we did it in the present and then I did it in the immediate present. And she said, no, no, I think you should write it completely again without looking at any of your previous manuscripts.
Yeah.
That was scary because I said, but I'm going to lose all those little precious jewels. She goes, that's okay. That's okay. Whatever held the story together will hold the story together. Now,
Yes. Yeah. I agree. I agree.
so it was a completely different take to yours, wasn't it? Where
Yeah.
you want to go through and pull out the jewels and keep the beautiful things.
Well,
And I'm
if
going
it
in,
works, I mean, maybe that's part of the process is like actually like having to start from scratch, but keeping the essence. I guess maybe I don't know. That's part of the discovery. I'll have to figure that out. Maybe
So
that'll
we're
be
back to
another segment.
discovery again.
Yeah, I think the discovery is part of like the whole process,
Yeah.
and evaluating, and
Never gets old.
it never gets old.
Yeah.
It's always exciting. So, but this was a really great segment. I hope that some people go through and they look at their old manuscripts and encourages them to think like, oh, I remember that. I wrote that so long ago. I'm going to go pull it out
Mm.
and see if it has any merit, and
Shake
see.
them out. You know how your grandmother's tablecloth suddenly becomes
Yeah,
beautiful again?
everything comes back around. You had that old vampire story. Vampires were, they got flushed out and they were no longer good. Well, they're back again. Everyone loves vampires again. So,
All
I
right,
mean,
my
you just
lovely
never know.
friends.
Bye, writer
Good to
friend.
talk to you. See
Keep
you next
writing.
time.